we are back, and this time we're covering a brand new case file that is going to be new to the channel. And this is the first time you and I started this in the very beginning, and it involves my family, right? Which is
The
crazy. So,
cases are literally everywhere once you start looking.
and once you start sharing, people start coming forward and asking for help. So, I just did an introduction video to this. We're calling this case number 002. And it involves my husband's aunt and uncle who just rented out their condo in Imperial Beach, did a full background check with Zillow, used their landlord rental platform that they offer, and the background check did not come up with any criminal history. And yet, a month later, the police, not just the police, the FBI, swarm the condo complex and arrest their tenant. And now they have someone who's living in the condo and they have no idea who this person is. So that's the information I received. And so I contacted you and I gave you the tenant's name. I can share the name because it's a matter of public record. His name is Sean Christensen. And we found his date of birth. And you're going to tell me what you found. Like, what did you find on this guy?
Well, my first stop with any investigation is my background checker. I use Intellius. So I went there, typed in the name. There's a few with that name. So I went to Google and searched his name with quotation marks around it so that it would get and make sure that it included that specific phrase. And that brought up the article of the arrest on these, with all these guns and all this. We'll get into exactly what it was about. Um, and the FBI, and it listed his date of birth in there. So I was like, okay, now I can confirm that it's the 1985 Sean Christensen, not the 1979 one or the 1960 one. Um, and there were, on the preliminary background check, there was quite a few, like, I was kind of scrolling for a while to get through all of the different, most of them were traffic violations, but there were some criminal ones. So in order to dig into exactly what they were, I looked at where that case happened, went to that county's Superior Court case search, and found a little bit of information. Usually, when I do that, I can click on the case number and it'll bring up information about the case. Was it dismissed? Was it, were they indicted? Blah, blah, blah. What happened with it? Not on this one. All of them said file not imaged, and file not microfiched. I'm like, very interesting. So I did a little more research on this, and he was indicted in 2024 on these gun charges. I actually ran across an article that references him. I want to share this because it was really interesting. One of the articles shows pictures of the cash that he had, CACHE, and a lot of them were 3D printed weapons. So
3D
his name,
printed weapon?
yes, so he had 35 3D printed guns. So his name appears in this article about Luigi Mangione because he also used a 3D printed gun, allegedly.
Oh my gosh.
Um, so here it kind of goes in talking about this, but here you can see case in Vista, California. Cops were called to the home of Sean Christensen after his father had called in a domestic disturbance. When they arrived, they found two 3D printers and 35 3D printed guns, lower receivers for a variety of firearms, including AR-15s, handguns, and Uzis. Lower receivers are the part of the gun that includes the grip, trigger, buffer tube, buttstock, and magazine. So I just thought it was really fascinating that not only is this guy real, but he appears in a Luigi Mangione story of all things.
My God,
So,
that's crazy.
so even though the preliminary background check doesn't show this particular charge, literally a Google search with his name in quotation marks pulled up a Forbes article about Luigi Mangione talking about this guy's weapon production.
And of course, like they're older, they would have no idea probably to do these things or any thought to do these things. And they trusted the Zillow background check. And we don't really
Well,
understand why it didn't pop up unless,
so
was he officially charged?
he's been
Like,
indicted was the
but,
closest I could find. So in for active cases in the Southern District of California, the access website is called Pacer, Pacer. So I
Mhm.
applied to get a free account, but apparently it takes up to a week. So as soon as I get that, I'll be able to access more of the documents. However, because it is an open federal case, a lot of the things are protected, for jury, and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
um, but I'm trying to just even figure out right now where in the process the case is and why he was out on the streets or living in your husband's,
Yes.
aunt and uncle's house.
All we know right now is obviously what they've been told by the authorities, which is that weapons and substances were confiscated. That he
Magic
was
mushrooms.
picked
It
up
was five
magic mushroom.
ounces of, yeah, of magic mushrooms. Yeah.
Really? Okay, so 5 ounces of magic mushroom, and that there was a parole violation. I'm assuming FBI might have been brought in because of the severity of his indictment. Obviously weapons are involved. Um, But that begs the question is if he was never officially convicted, like fully convicted of a crime, and this is just an indictment, he obviously has to go through a trial. He could have
Mm-hmm.
been released on bond, which I'm shocked about if for the severity of what was confiscated. Um, could it be maybe theoretically why this didn't show up on a background check? Because he really hadn't been convicted of anything yet.
Well,
So
but that's also not totally true.
okay, please
In
tell me because I
let
work.
me see,
I
let me
don't
let
know.
me pull up this file here. So this is from the State of California Department of Justice website. Um, and it's from 2009, talking about the arrest of five for conspiring to fraudulently obtain thousands of dangerous prescription pills. And he is one
Oh
of the
my God.
five. And it mentions here, so
There he
Sean
is.
Christensen, 24, of Vista, for violation of probation. So in 2009, he was violating probation. So he's already before that been charged on something,
Oh my God.
convicted of something, I should say.
So
Uh,
a violation of probation.
Possession of a controlled substance, sale of a controlled substance, and conspiracy. So that's from 2009. And then this drug thing was more recent.
And that's in Vista, California. So it's not like it was out of the state.
Right. So it's not like they were, they did a just a local background check, um, or just had it only search, you know, that area, whatever. It was in that area. And yeah, some of it does
Wow.
show up on his background check. Not all of it. Like I said, a lot of them are like criminal traffic violations, like going, 85 in a school zone or something. I thought that's not exactly what it was.
Yeah.
That's just an example.
Yes.
Um, but that type of thing, right? But there were some other ones that popped up too. And so I'm still, like I said, digging into, I think once I get access to that Pacer database, that's going to be really helpful to see kind of where things are at. I'll be able to like read the indictment and we can see exactly what charges have been brought against him. Um, but so my theory on why this didn't show up in Zillow, um, it depends on who the third party is that they use. Their disclaimer on their website is essentially like, we use a third party, so don't trust us, bro. Or like, don't come at me, bro. Uh,
Yeah.
and so it's kind of like takes their responsibility out of it. But this is something that's really important to landlords or to people that are looking into
Yes.
this service. I think that they, depending on what background checker this particular service uses, it might have only shown the traffic violations, or that might have only been what they noticed. Um, they probably don't do the extra step, which is like literally the easiest thing that anyone can do right now while they're watching this is just like in quotes, Google the name. The other thing you can do too, if you're curious about like arrest records, is like Google their name in quotes and then add arrest or convicted. Um, so just words that would like indicate some sort of a legal action, defendant, things like that. So those are just real quick, like, have a new like hinge date, quick Google search of that, and then like whether you
That's
show
a
up or
good
not might be based on what you find.
So if someone wants to do their own independent background check, because thousands of people use this Zillow rental program and they assume that they're getting a full, complete background check. Clearly not. And our evidence shows not. Um, can they message you and get a direct link to the program that you use for background check?
I need to look into it because I have to double check on Intellius, the one that I use, because I use a couple others too. And one of them that I was looking at yesterday had a little thing, like a little box on it that said, this cannot be used for like tenant decisions or something like that, tenant consideration.
Yes.
So, which I thought
Okay.
was also very interesting. Like, why can I not, if I have a property and I rent it out sometimes, I don't
Yeah.
go through, an agency or anything, but I do not want to rent my house to somebody who has a pending case with the FBI for arms dealing and, conspiracy.
That's a very good point. So this might actually be something I need to go to an actual attorney who specializes in landlord tenant law to ask about these things. And maybe they'll have answers to some of our questions, even the ones involving this case. Like,
Yeah.
how do you evict someone when you don't even know who they are?
Right. When
So,
they have 10
I-
different aliases or if their background check comes up clean, but their Google search doesn't.
yeah. And what is the liability and what are we allowed to do as landlords? Are we allowed to not rent to someone that has a past? Like these are all questions. So I think on my end, I'm going to start interviewing some attorneys that specialize in this field to see what they have to say and what questions they can answer for us.
Right. Because we also, we don't want to be giving people advice that could land them in hot water. We're really just trying to
Yeah.
help people stay protected. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I'll look into it too from like what it says on the side of the background checkers and why that might be that it would say that. Um, I get it, like having a felony in your past shouldn't necessarily disqualify you from being able to rent a place. Like if you meet all the other things. But as a property owner, what that felony was for does make a difference to me. There are certain things that
Yeah.
aren't, you know, under the realm of being rehabilitable. It's not really a word,
Yeah,
but it is
I'd
now.
say 3D
You know,
printing automatic weapons is one of those. You know,
right? I mean, like if you are cited as like the mastermind in a Luigi Mangione article from Forbes, I think you have a pretty big operation going. And that is
yeah.
somebody that I would not want to rent to. And sorry, not sorry. It's for the
Hmm.
safety of my own property, for the safety of my neighbors, for the safety of myself when I live at that property again and some dodgy person comes looking for that person.
Hmm. Definitely. Well, then I guess we're just going to stay connected and we'll touch base. We'll do more videos as more information unfolds. And then I'll keep presenting new cases to you and we'll just go through them.
All right. Well, we've got homework to do, and I
Yeah.
look forward to diving a little deeper into this one as well as continuing on with the tenant case 001.